Yo, what's up, sports bettors? Alex here in PrizePicks. They've started to post player prop lines for Sunday. So I was able to get down some early plays. So basically in this video, I'm just going to be taking you through my plays. And my first pick you can see right here. I'm on Matthew, under 4 shots on goal. Matthew Tkachuk. I don't even know what his name is, but it doesn't matter, right? I'm following the data as a sharp sports bettor. And what you're going to notice is on PrizePicks, they have this guy's line at 4 shots on goal. Every other data point, right? Underdog Fantasy. So right here, Underdog Fantasy, they have his line at 3.5 shots on goal. PrizePicks, we're getting under 4. So long story short, PrizePicks, they're too high relative to the rest of the market. All the sports books that have already posted NHL player prop odds for Sunday, they'll have his line at 3.5. Right? PrizePicks is at 4, so we want to take the under. PrizePicks is too high relative to the rest of the market. And a lot of people will be like, 4 versus 3.5, it doesn't seem like a big deal. What's the difference between taking his under 3.5 and his under 4? And it's a huge difference. Actually, in his last game, he had exactly 4 shots. So on Friday, he had exactly 4 shots against the Bruins. And that's a case where if he has exactly 4 shots on goal, we're going to push on PrizePicks. So we're going to tie, right? If he has exactly 4 shots, we're going to push, we're going to tie. Anyone who takes his under on a sports book or on Underdog Fantasy is going to lose, right? So we found value in the market. So I say this all the time, but as a sharp bettor, I'm not looking through the market looking for a bet on this specific player. I'm waking up, I'm saying, okay, I want to see if Underdog, right? Underdog had some value. Today I locked in this play, I gave out this play on Twitter. Sometimes PrizePicks has more value. That's why I always recommend for new sports bettors, get as many of these books as you can. Right? Sign up for PrizePicks, sign up for Underdog. You never know which book is going to have value on a given day. This play was on Underdog. This play's on PrizePicks, right? Here, PrizePicks is screwing up the line on Matthew Tkachuk. They have his line at 4, all the books at 3.5. Clear as day, we want to take the under. And you look at a player like Jake DeBrusk, right? Or Gustav Forsling. So, these names are pretty hard to pronounce, but regardless, if you look at both these players, every sportsbook, Underdog, PrizePicks, they all have their lines, both of these players' lines, Gustav and Jake, they have the line at 2.5. There's no value. There's no discrepancies in the market, right? As a sharp sports bettor, you're hunting for those few rare betting opportunities where there's actually value. You're looking for those few rare betting opportunities where a sportsbook is slipping up. And you can see right here, PrizePicks is clearly a discrepancy. All the books have Matthew's line at 3.5 shots on goal. PrizePicks is at 4, so we want to take the under. So that's the first play I went with. Then you can see the next pick I ended up including in my entry is Adrian Kempe over 3.5 shots on goal. Right, so I got this play from the OddsJam positive EV tool. So you can see right here, the positive expected value tool. It works for live betting, it works for pre-match betting, but it's a pretty simple, tool to use. Basically, you just select all the sportsbooks you use, and it shows you profitable bets, right? And everything's based in data. So what you need to realize about PrizePicks, if you're new, if you've seen some of my previous videos, I know some parts may get a little repetitive, but it's so important to understand. This is literally the core of beating PrizePicks. Is what's really interesting about PrizePicks is it's a fixed payout platform. So what I mean by that is it doesn't matter if you take unders, overs, any 5 picks you select, you're always getting the same payout, right? So any 5 picks, if we replace this with Jalen Brunson over 22.5 points, or we take his under, we're always getting the same payout. So PrizePicks is what we call a fixed payout platform, right? It's exactly like Underdog Fantasy. Any 5 picks you select, doesn't matter if you take overs, doesn't matter if you take unders, you're always going to be getting the same payout, right? So basically, I've explained this before, but to be profitable long-term on PrizePicks, you want to be playing 5 flexes or 6 flexes, right? And all you have to do is win over 54.25% of your plays, right? If you're winning over 54.25% of your plays, you're going to be profitable long-term playing on PrizePicks. You're still going to have ups and downs. Nobody wins every day. The best sports bettors in the world, the sharpest bettors, people who bet full-time for income, they're not winning every single day. You think about a pro poker player, these guys who have done this consistently for 20 years. It's the same thing in sports betting. You can have an edge, but you're not going to win every single day. You're looking for value, you're looking for an edge, and to beat PrizePicks long term, all you got to do is win over 54.25% of your picks, right? So what that means, for us is basically any over-unders we select, we include in our entry, we just have to win over 54.25%. So if we're winning 55% of our picks, so let's say we can select over-unders just like Donovan Mitchell, over-under 28.5 points. If you can win all your player props on PrizePicks, so you can hit your over-unders at a rate of 55%, your ROI on PrizePicks is going to be really good. You're going to have a 5% ROI. You're going to be profitable, right? So what PrizePicks assumes is, PrizePicks assumes most people can only select over-unders 50% of the time correctly. PrizePicks assumes you have no advantage. You have no edge, right? Most people can't select over-unders correctly much more than 50% of the time. So if you're hitting at a rate of 50% in a 5 flex, your ROI is going to be horrible, negative 25%. They're absolutely, taking advantage of you if you're not a sharp sports bettor. They bake a lot of juice into their markets. So you need to be hitting, ideally like 56, 57% of your picks. So this doesn't answer the question, though, which is why should you go with 5 flex entries? And basically the reason is if you're playing 5 flex entries and you're hitting 56% of your picks, I literally reverse engineered the payouts on PrizePicks right here. So if you're hitting 56, so if you can win your player props 56% of the time, only lose 44% of them, in a 5 flex, you're going to be really profitable, 12%. Right? And I'll include this spreadsheet in the description. It literally just breaks down the math behind how PrizePicks works, why 5 flex are optimal. So if you're hitting 5 flexes at a rate of 56%, your ROI is going to be roughly 12%. You're going to be pretty profitable long term, hitting 56% of your over-unders and only losing 44%. Right? Literally, I'm just breaking down PrizePicks payouts. There's nothing to argue about, nothing complicated here. I'm taking the PrizePicks payouts for their 2-pick entries, for all their different type of entries, and reverse engineering what probability, how many of your picks you need to win to be profitable. On the other hand, for a 2-pick power play, if you're hitting 56% of your picks, you're still losing money. Your ROI is negative 6%. Right? Like, that's horrible. Negative 6% if you're playing 2-pick power plays and winning 56% of your picks, whereas for a 5 flex, your ROI is 12%. So that's a massive difference. So long story short, you got to be going with 5 or 6 flexes on PrizePicks. I have a ton of videos kind of breaking down the math. So the question is, right, it's a pretty simple question, but it's really important, is how do I win over 54.25% of my plays that I'm including in my PrizePicks entry? And basically, what you want to do is you want to look for spots where sportsbooks have an over or an under, really heavily favored, and you can get that line on PrizePicks. So right here for Adrian Kempe, right, you're going to notice all the sportsbooks, they have his over 3.5 shots on goal as the heavily favored outcome. Right? There's not a ton of sportsbooks. Most books haven't already posted NHL player prop odds for tomorrow yet, for Sunday yet. But you're going to see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sportsbooks that have. Pinnacle is known to be the sharpest bookmaker in the world. They all have Kempe's over as the heavily favored outcome. Right? All these sportsbooks, I mean, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 data points, 5 sportsbooks that have invested, literally these books have invested hundreds of millions of dollars collectively in their ability to set lines. Every sportsbook, you have 5 different data points, 5 sportsbooks, all telling you Kempe's over should be heavily favored. And you can get this in your PrizePicks entry, right? So this is a great player prop to include in your PrizePicks entry. Adrian Kempe over 3.5 shots on goal. Literally just following the data. So when I'm using OddsJam, I mean, basically all you want to do is you want to take these bets in bold and in green on PrizePicks, and you want to find 5 or 6 of them. Again, that's because PrizePicks, you want to be playing 5 or 6 flex. Those are optimal. So Pasternak over 4.5 shots on goal, Looney over 2.5 assists, Kempe over 3.5 shots on goal, all player props that are profitable to include in your PrizePicks entry, right? For Looney, all the sports books, right? You can see it right here. All the books have his over as the heavily favored outcome. On PrizePicks, they're not even changing our payout based on us selecting over or under, right? If we hit both overs, if we hit both unders, we're getting the same payout. PrizePicks is a fixed payout platform. So what you want to do to win over 54.3% of your picks is you just want to follow the data, right? Find spots where sportsbooks have one side heavily favored. For Kempe, it's over 3.5 shots on goal. all the books have his over heavily juiced. So that's the player prop you want to include. So this is called, again, the positive EV tool on OddsJam, but you can also use the fantasy screen. They're pretty similar. The fantasy screen, it's currently in what's called beta mode. So testing mode, it's free to use. It's been free for like a month now. And all this tool does is it literally will quantify, hey, this is the win probability for your bet, right? So we know on PrizePicks, we need to be winning over 54.25% of our picks to be profitable. So you're going to notice, right, all the plays in green, those are the plays you want to bet. Those are the good plays, is they're all winning over 54.25% of the time. So they're all going to be profitable in a 5 or a 6 flex. You don't want to play the stuff in red, right? So the stuff in red, for example, Malik Monk under 19.5 points plus rebounds. I mean, sure, the sportsbooks have the under a little bit favored around, minus 120, minus 130 odds, but it's not heavily juiced. Right, like if you look at this play on Adrian Kempe or on Looney, right, books have Looney's over pretty heavily favored. I mean, kind of around minus 140 odds, right? So there's a lot of juice towards the over. The books are telling you, hey, Looney's a lot more likely to go over as opposed to under. Whereas here, for example, if you look at, if we go to the very bottom, if we look at Draymond Green, right, sportsbooks only have this around minus 125. So sure, sportsbooks have Draymond's under 16.5 points plus assists. They have the under as the favored outcome, right? But it's not as juiced as this play on Looney, right? This play on Green, sportsbooks have his under around minus 125, so the under is just very slightly favored. Whereas this play on Looney, books have pretty heavy juice, right? They have his over 2.5 assists, pretty favored, right? So long story short, you want to make sure, the player props you're including on PrizePicks, the sportsbooks have juice to about minus 140, which is exactly what the OddsJam software is doing. So long story short, you can just take all these plays in green. This tool is literally free to use. You can see this play on Looney. It's also on the EV tool as well as this play on Kempe. So there's going to be a lot of overlap. But long story short, let me just show you guys my PrizePicks entry. Kempe over 3.5 shots on goal, Curry over 4.5 threes, Brett over 1.5 shots on goal, David Pasternak over 4.5 shots on goal, Matthew under 4. So 5 picks, early picks on PrizePicks, looking for value as early as I can in the market. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and let's make some money.